what's good with you? I'm Martian, and today me and Magnus gonna show you how to make a Redda Type beat. Alright, so I'm gonna break down the melody and then Magnus gonna show you the drums. You wanna keep Redda melodies quite simple, dark, spacey and ambient at the same time, since the drums gonna do most of the work. You don't wanna overdo the melody. So I start off with a never before seen pad pattern, which sounds like this. So it's just the root note A and then the 5th and the 6th playing. In Redda stuff, you wanna use half steps a lot since they create tension. Yeah, and I use the Placid mutation pad from Nexus. So for effects, I put on an EQ cutting the lows and highs, a reverb with the pre-delay turned down, the mix level to 64% and the decay to 1.8. Then I added a shaper box with these settings. And another with the EQ, cutting the lows again, increasing some of the highs. I added another pad, which sounds like this. And to be honest, you could just use the melody as it is for a Redda Type beat, since the melodies be quite simple. This pad was from a plugin called Dune, and I recommend y'all to check it out to get it, because I feel like it's kind of slept on, but it has some really good sounds, especially for Redda Type stuff. And I used the Aruna pad. So the effects for that one is an EQ cutting the highs and lows, and a shaper box with the filter going up, so it creates like a breathing effect. Next, I added just like a regular yeet bell, which sounds like this. At the end, I just had 2 slide notes. Without the effects, it sounds like this. But yeah, for effects, I put on a Fruity Love filter, a chorus at the default preset, a vintage verb with the mix level turned to 29%. After that, I added a lead, which sounds like this. And this was the Terraformer preset from Dune. So this lead sounds completely different without effects. And let me show you. But for effects, I put on a fruity delay with the ×4 on the time, and I reduced the cut and put on ping pong, the game changer for this lead, portal, and then just a vintage verb with these settings. And lastly, I added a sub bass, which sounds like this. And this is the darkness preset from Dune. For the sub bass, I put a decapitator at 20% with the 70s record preset. And this just gives the sub bass distortion. Then I put on a fruity flanger with these settings and EQ cutting the highs because I didn't like them. So this is how the melody sounds all together. Like I already said, you wanna keep these melodies really simple and don't overdo them, since the drum is gonna be the main part of the beat. But yeah, that's it from me. And Martian's wisdom of the day is to drink water. And now we're gonna head over to Magnus and he's gonna break down the drums. That's it from me, I'm out, gang.
Yo, what's good, boys? Magnus from No Agony Collective, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make a Redda Type beat. So I'm going to be starting by basically going through the loop and then the hi-hats and the 808s and the perks and then all the automations I've made and then just some final words. So I'm going to start with the loop. It's pretty cool, but I decided to add some plugins just to spice it up a bit. So I added standard EQ just to cut the lows so that it doesn't clash with the 808s or the low frequencies. Then I added an Ozone 9 imager and a Love filter preset, and they sound like this with the plugins on it. Yeah, so something like nothing crazy. So moving on to the hi-hats and the claps, they sound like this. And this is basically built up of a main hat here, which you can see the MIDI of, and then the second hi-hat that just has a bunch of random rolls and stutters and stuff like that, and then just a clap that plays the standard pattern. And for effects and plugins on these, on the main hat I have Effectrix playing this preset or whatever. It sounds pretty cool. There's some different like stretch and reverse and different effects on the hats to make it sound cooler. On the second hat, or like the effect hat, there's a flanger and a reverb, and then on clap there's just a reverb. And that's pretty much all for the hats. The same pattern plays throughout the entire beat. And basically layered with this, I have this pattern with a bunch of different perks that sounds pretty cool. It's just a bunch of random sounds and perks I combine, and I'm gonna just play it with the metronome so you can hear where they kind of hit along the beat. Yeah, that's really just for like to add some more to the beats, because like this type of genre has fairly complex beats usually. So with the hi-hat and the perks together, it sounds like this. Moving on to the 808s is what it sounds like. And this pattern is built up of a main 808, which is just a spins, and then a CTM, and then just other weird 808 that's used fairly commonly. So for the spins, the only thing I've done mixing wise is just shortening it a bit and then boosting it and turning up the EQ knob a little bit. And then for the CTM, I've just added a flanger. And then for the third 808, there's no effects at all. But the 808s alone is just the spins. It sounds like this. And then along to the CTM, sounds like this. And then the third 808, which is just some weird 808 I hear fairly frequently, sounds like this. And that's all for the 808s. I don't have any kicks or anything else. This is all for that pattern. So the only last thing in this beat is just the gross beat presets. I have 3 of them playing throughout the song, different places. I haven't made these myself. These are all just from the turntablist thing in gross beat. So anyone who has gross beat by default has access to these. So I'm gonna play those first bars real quick, which have 2 of the patterns in them. And then the last gross beat pattern just plays right here, which is just like a little stutter. From here, everything really just repeats over. And then I also have automated the master volume to fade out here in the end as an outro, because I didn't feel like doing some abrupt outro. So that's what happens here at the end, outro. And that plays along with the producer tags. Yeah, that's pretty much it for this beat. The only other thing I have is just a soft clipper on the master. Besides like the automations on the reverb and gross beat, all I have is just a Fruity soft clipper with the default settings on it. And that's pretty much all for this beat breakdown. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any suggestions for future tutorials, please let us know in the comments. We appreciate all feedback. And if you want to use loops like these, we have 2 loop kits out on our main channel titled Xenoverse Volume 1 and 2 that have a combined value of over 130 of these Supertrap type loops you can use for Redda or Glow type beats. And yeah, thanks for watching.